Hello there, girls and boys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to share with you my experience using Tonex for more than 6 months now. And for those of you who don't know what Tonex is a very comprehensive system that is comprised of software, pedals, and well, that's it. Bruh. And if you don't happen to own a Tonex pedal, there's not a problem because you can actually download the Tonex app and use it on your computer for free. But what it allows you to do is to carry any form of a snapshot or profile from any amplifier you wish. And for those of you who are not familiar with the terminology, that means that you can actually dial a very badass tone on your amplifier, and then through the use of software and wizardry, I might say, you can actually capture the sound of your amplifier, allowing you to use those sounds inside of your computer through the use of the Tonex app, or also load those sounds into the Tonex pedals. Or you can also download any of the profiles on the Tonex library, thus making the proposal quite attractive for those of us who happen to have a collection of amplifiers and always wished to be able to carry the tone and the sound of those amps without having to carry the big, expensive and chunky box that the amplifier is. Something else that I forgot to mention is that Tonex comes with a built-in compressor and EQ, and actually you can use the compressor to control the way that your guitar is coming into the amplifier, or you can use the compressor after the guitar tone has been developed. Also, the EQ can be used in the same way. And also it comes with a very powerful yet simple to use noise gate that can be assigned on a patch by patch basis. That's badass because that way I have a clean tone without the noise gate, and when I dial or go straight to one of my heavy tones, the noise gate is assigned for it. It also has to be said that it reacts to pedals extremely well, and it also has a built-in tuner. So why on earth did I decide to join the cult of Tonex? The reason is, well, you'll see, girls and boys, I happen to be an active musician and I move around quite often. And one of the issues that I faced is having a way to bring a proper sounding amplifier using the slimmest form factor. Something that I could take on a plane, put it on a bus, or being able to fly around and move around without compromising tone. And when I saw that Tonex is capable of not only replicating tones from different amplifiers, but also gives me the option to create my own profiles out of my own amps, that was what sealed the deal. And an extra use that I got for Tonex is for tracking guitars, because I developed a system that allows me to use my Tonex mini board as a referencing point, as a monitoring point, and I send a DI signal of my guitar without any effects applied to it whatsoever into my recorder, thus allowing me to reamp it later. If you want to know more about it, there is a video somewhere on the screen on which I disclose the whole process, and it's quite simple, believe me, it's cheap actually. And speaking of the whole profiling thing, I can tell you that I have seen many videos or many complaints from people who doesn't understand how to dial up the whole thing correctly. All of the tones that you have heard me using are actually available on ToneCloud for those of you who have a Tonex with you, and you can download them for free. And I did them, of course, using all of the knowledge that I have garnered throughout my years as a professional music producer and recording artist. And I can tell you that even though it's fairly simple, it requires a lot of know-how to make it work. That's why I have seen so many people complaining about the quality of the profiles that they are creating. You need, first and foremost, have access to proper converters, which means an interface, but the higher the quality, the better the capture will be. And that's already talking about a pro level gear. And the vast majority of people who are getting Tonex, not necessarily speaking, have access to those tools when it comes to recording, of course. Also, you need, and this is the most important part, a very comprehensive understanding on what on earth creates a tone, first and foremost, knowing how to use your amplifiers, but also knowing and understanding how to record those guys through the use of professional tools. So the entry level, even though the software is quite comprehensive and very simple and straightforward when it comes to producing your own tones, it requires actual knowledge from the user to deliver a proper sounding tone. One thing that we have to discuss is as well the current state of affairs when it comes to performing live. We either like it or not, the use of real live amplifier in a live setting is starting to show signs of going away. And that's a sad thing because I love the tone of the amps, and particularly the response you get out of a properly dialed up and properly set amplifier. The thing is that they are quite cumbersome to move around. The budgets for those live shows are shrinking by the day, and space on the stage is becoming less and less accessible to us because, well, we got more musicians, or even the worst of the scenarios is happening. Those stages are shrinking as well because, well, economics and stuff, right? So Tonex and this kind of technology, the profiling and the whole thing about modeling as well, it's replacing those amps on the stage. Of course, we gotta consider as well that keeping those amplifiers in proper conditions, it's quite expensive and they are quite prone to failure, especially when you're touring and moving those around. There's also the fact that stages are now becoming quiet and silent for most cases. For those of you who are not familiar with the terminology, that means that what you hear in a live show is actually not coming out of amplifiers or instruments being recorded or tracked through the use of microphones on the stage. They are sent directly into the mixing board, and from there they are amplified by the PA system. It's starting to become the norm now because it's quite beneficial when it comes to keeping organized and clean the recording of the live instruments, for example, drums, which happen to be, for the vast majority of the cases, still amplified through the use of microphones. And not having those extra noises coming in through the microphones is super good. As you can see, I am quite happy with what I got out of Tonex, and I am quite excited to keep developing these tones because I am not only working on the guitar sounds, I also have been creating some tones and some profiles for my bass because I also happen to have a good collection of amplifiers here at the studio for bass tracking. So if you want to get access to those are available as well to you on the ToneNet. And would I recommend it? Of course I will. I think the whole system is fantastic. The operation is very good. And also the sound is amazing. So there you have it, girls and boys. What do you think about Tonex? Do you happen to own one? Are you interested in getting one? Do you think that the new version, the slim, super tiny version, is superior over the one that I got here? The big one, the original one? Well, let me know in the comment section down below. And once again, let me remind you that you can actually download the Tonex profiles that I use, that you heard across this video, for free on the ToneNet network, which is actually on the description of this video, so you can have access to the link over there. And please follow us over there because that also helps. So, girls and boys, the only thing left to be said is, of course, if you like to support this kind of content, and the best way to do it is by listening to music on Apple Music or Spotify, and also by following us on social media such as Instagram and X, because that's the best way for you to get in touch with us in a much more personal basis. Now, girls and boys, as every single time that I meet you, I can remind you that you should never let anybody tell you what to dream about. And remember that I will see you when I see you.